it wasn't all peaches and cream, right? Like there
Well,
was,
sure, yeah.
again, like
There was
card
some rough
availability was
stuff.
like
Yeah,
having card availability issues was definitely a problem.
yeah.
Like
Cheating was
theft,
rampant. There was a lot of
I'm gonna say,
crazy
yeah,
stuff.
theft and cheating in particular
Yeah.
were like really bad. I lost my collection multiple times,
Hmm.
like as in stolen, including out of my locker and
Just
overwhelmed.
stolen. Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
lost power.
yeah.
I had power, and I don't anymore. Right? Like
Hmm.
I didn't sell it. It got
Hmm.
taken away,
Hmm.
and that sucks so bad.
Hmm.
Right? Like I didn't have the money.
Yeah,
Though.
there was
Like I didn't have
literal
it.
theft, and of course there's theft via cheating as well, and all these
Yeah, I mean,
opportunistic cheats and
and
all
these
this
things still
stuff.
happen. Don't get me wrong. There's still like occasional opportunistic cheats. There's still like a few people who cheat on purpose deliberately. There's still
Hmm.
theft, but we're talking different orders of magnitude here. We're talking about like a
Right.
factor of 10 or 100. It's just, yeah, back in the day,
Yeah.
just like you like you sat down to a pro tour, right? And you had a list of players that you knew were savage cheaters, right? You knew that, like, okay, Michael Long is at this tournament, Chris Benefeld is at this tournament,
Yeah.
right? Ryan Fuller is at this tournament, and I can freaking name them now, right? Like,
Hmm.
and when you sat down against those players, like, even if they didn't cheat, they had a huge advantage
Because you had to be
because
vigilant.
half of your brain
Yeah.
was on how do I stop this person from cheating me or
Yeah.
catch them if they
Pull a
try.
fast one. Yeah.
And they could just choose to put 100% of their brain power behind winning the game normally if they
Right.
wanted to.
Right.
They didn't.
Just the
ever.
threat of the cheat was enough. Yeah.
Right. The threat is so much strong. The threat is often strong. I mean, back then the execution was really good. Like it wasn't just cheating. It was like also rules lawyering and
Hmm.
tricking
Hmm.
and manipulating, and like the intent wins revolution was so good, right?
Yeah.
Like there's this period where like you would put a counter on your Whirling Dervish, and Tommy Hovey would just untap all his cards,
Yeah.
right? Because like by definition, if you're putting the counter on it, it means you proceeded to your end step. It means you are done.
Ah, okay, yeah. It was just fast forwarding
Right?
to
He's not
that.
shortcutting like it's going to get a counter, so I'm going to put the counter on it. And then but you would put the counter on it and start tapping mana to cast the spell, and he would just immediately before you could do that untap his lands and draw a card
Right.
because you're done.
Right.
Right? Like, and that's not cheating, right? That's legal,
Uh-huh.
but it's like scummy as hell from today's perspective, right? But back
Sure.
then it was just then it was just okay. He's one of the half of players who would do this if it occurred to them.
Hmm.
It wasn't like unusual even,
Hmm.
right? But like no, when you watched your opponent shuffle their deck, you were like, is he stacking it? And
Hmm.
a lot of the time, like there was like a third of people who it's like almost like at one point like a third of people who are legitimately shuffling their deck, a third of people who are actively cheating and trying to stack their deck, and a third of people who think that mana weaving isn't stacking,
That's right.
right? Who
I
like
remember that.
legitimately think this is just how Magic is played.
Right.
I remember Jason Gordon, one of the most famous cheaters of all time, ended up on my team for like a random Saturday, like everyone plays a different format tournament. And like sometimes you just have to like improvise teams because like there's only so many players in the room. And
Sure.
just like make something happen.
Yeah.
So I end up on Gordon's team, and I end up on type 1. I'm playing Vintage, and he hands me this deck. So like I have to shuffle it carefully. It's not my cards, and it's got my Moxes and a Lotus in it.
Yeah.
And all that.
Yeah.
But like he's like, okay, here's how you shuffle the deck, and it involves first sorting the deck.
Oh, he's giving
Right.
a tutorial. Okay.
And he's like, and then he says, if you don't shuffle the deck this way, it won't work.
This is how it's supposed to work. Here's the tutorial.
Right.
Yeah.
It was built. It has this many mana sources. Like it's like a 25 mana source.
Make sure you
control
can
deck.
get those mana sources. Yeah.
It is assuming that the mana will be distributed
Will be stacked.
very well. Like it's not
Oh.
trying to like exact. It's not trying to like your exact entire post,
Mhm.
right? It's not like that. That's not.
Mhm.
They don't cheat that much.
That's just how some people thought about it at the time, right?
Yeah, I
In
mean,
terms of
some people would, but like very
Yeah.
few people would. Mostly, it's just you're trying to get a good distribution, and you're trying to ensure it way too often.
Mhm.
And so you're playing all these different games, right, against people who are various different degrees of cheating. And when you're playing against someone you don't know and trust, you're like, I don't know if this person's cheating, but they legitimately might be cheating a little bit or a lot. And
yeah,
it's
that's
really
when you
hard
have
to
to
catch
assume.
people.
You have to assume they could be doing it, right? You have to.
And that's and like, it's like not
It's a
half your
mental
brain power the
tax.
entire tournament.
Yeah.
Like 25% of your brain power at a major tournament back then was like, don't get cheated. And like that's not fun, right? The rest, like you're having fun with the match, with the tournament decision, but like there's this extra just level of just terrible stress of like, you know, a significant portion of your opponents are cheating, and even if they're not cheating, they're often like doing things they think are okay that kind of aren't, and also they're stalling. There's tons of stalling.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like there's tons of stalling,
slow
and there's tons of slow play
and stalling.
Yeah, because like players don't have the same philosophy. Even the players who are like mean legitimately well don't have the same philosophical approach of it is my duty to make sure this match finishes, unless they are playing way slower than I am and it's their fault, which is basically how I approached it, right? And then I will try to hurry them up and I'll call a judge and so on. But like they just like a lot of players who are like, you play against Daniel Clegg, you play against David Humphreys. Like David Humphreys is the most honorable person I've ever met, right? In terms of like I can trust his work.
Very methodical and thinks
through everything. But he's
going to
take forever. Yeah. Right? Because I'm going to find the right play. But he's not cheating. He's not stalling. He's not doing this on purpose to get advantage from the clock. He's just going to make the right play.
Sure, he's not reading Jace the Mind Sculptor 3 times like his own Jace.
Right. Like if the match was 5 hours long, he would
win every match.
He would. I mean, he'd do very well. He's a very good Magic player. Still is probably at R&D, right? He's in R&D now, and like it's a great place for him. But like literally, we'd be on the same team. We're playing Apprentice, right? And I'm literally watching television, right? I got like the Apprentice window open, right? And I make a play. I like go watch television for a few minutes, or whatever it is, until he makes a play, and then I come back and I make another play. It's like I'm playing one of these simultaneous exhibitions, right? Where this guy will be like in the center playing white and like 40 different boards. And like, he'll make a move. The opponent will make a move. He'll make a move 5 seconds later, go to the next board. And like, comes around every 10 minutes, right? And it's like that with like testing for the Pro Tour. Except it's like, he's only playing one game. And I'm only playing one game. It's just like, I'm not going to sit here. I've thought about this game as much as I can. Like for a test game, like there's nothing more for me to think about, right? And like, we're playing about as well. I think he's playing about as well as I am in these test games. It's just he's taking 10 times as long, right? Because he's just that methodical. And I played so many more games than he does that I like it's like the reason why it takes him 10 times as long to get to the right decision is because it takes him 10 times as long to get to the right decision. He's played 10% as many games as I have.
That
right?
also
or 20%.
That,
so like he hasn't just gotten the reps in. So he hasn't learned as much as I have in the same amount of time. Which is like, oh, what are you going to do? Right? Like, there's nothing you can do about it. It's just hilarious. But like, so you've got all these different considerations to worry about that distract you from the core thing you're doing, which you love. And, there was this golden age, right? In some sense, where like we had intent wins on the cards. The cheaters had mostly been defeated by like Bakula and Dead Guy and like the rising coalition of we're not tolerating this anymore and Wizards like not putting up with it anymore. And so we had, the cheating was like not gone, but it was like much lower. And like stalling was much reduced. And so it's basically like, okay, there's a handful of people you have to watch out for, but mostly you're okay.
Right.
And the card, and then like we still had a lot of the old school like magic of discovery and like things being in flux, and like it was a really great time.